I think there'll probably be a bit of a delay of about 20 seconds or so. And I'm just going to bring up the chat.
Well, I'll see that, I assume.
Yeah, you on my channel? Or you
No, I'm not. I'll go to your
just
channel.
obviously mute it? Well, you probably know this anyway.
Oh, you're saying it says live now. Have we been live talking this whole time?
No, I've only just clicked the button.
Okay.
So I just need to bring out this window. Oh. I'll get back to my channel.
I've muted it.
Yeah, I'm going to mute mine as well in a minute. I don't know if it's live yet.
You have to work on your intros, Banana Warrior Princess.
I have no idea if we're live yet.
It says live, and I hear us talking. And there's 11 people watching. Hey, shout out in the chat if Banana Warrior Princess needs to work on her intros.
Probably do. Yeah. Where the hell is it then?
You can't find it? That's
nope.
Funny. I had this problem on my channel too.
Oh yeah? Well, it's...
But they started streaming 1 minute ago and I have it up. I can send you a link on...
yeah, I guess I'm going to have to.
Here, I'll do that. And does it tweet when you start a live stream?
It should do, yeah. Apologies to people watching.
Yes.
It's...
I blame her. This actually goes debate points in my favor right here.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm racking them up. Here, let me... Here, I'll do that. Did you...
Right.
All right, I tweeted it out. Her intros are great. You're a fan. Vigo Maniac says your intros are great.
Yeah, right on. They are.
Right arm.
Right on. That's an Americanism, is it? Right on.
It is.
Right on.
Yeah,
dude.
Totally.
Right. I
switched it up on you though. I said right arm.
Oh, right arm. Yeah. Right. Let me get the chat. I'm just gonna pop out the chat. People in the chat, can you just confirm that the sound is all good? Do we need to adjust our volumes? Does one need to go up? Does one person need to go down?
Testing 1 2. This is Adam's mic.
Cool. Right, good evening everyone. I'm here with the YouTuber Friended, otherwise known as Adam. You've already introduced yourself.
Hello.
Yeah, Adam, we got connected with one another after I commented on one of your videos. What was it called? What was the title of the video?
I don't even know. It's the last video that I did. It's on veganism. God, it's got a good title too.
Yeah,
I should pull it up.
I can't remember what it was called.
But we were going round and round in the comment section. I think we got like a little comment war going. It was actually kind of fun.
Yeah, I could probably bring it up actually, so we could read it. But it was just I think I kind of yeah, I don't know if I did put some sort of like triggering words to you, I think, to get a response.
I was not triggered at all. It was actually the name of it was veganism, ethical imperative or moral crusade.
That's right. Yeah. What made you decide to come up with that title?
I just thought it sounded incendiary. I tried to come up with a clickbaitiest title. So I thought, this is good.
Yeah.
I did think it embodied the video nicely, because the video I'm really talking about morality and ethics, and I think that's the argument that I have the biggest problem with vegans on. So
yeah, did you decide to do that video based on the back of because you've said we've had a bit of a chat before the live stream. You've kind of studied a little bit of morality, a certain type of morality. Do you want to go into a little bit of that, or do you want to sort of just talk about your channel, just sort of introduce yourself in general?
Morality is my biggest focus, my biggest point of study, just because I am really interested in people's motivations.
Yeah.
So And I'm a huge fan of Jonathan Haidt. Jonathan Haidt is a moral psychologist, social psychologist, but he really demystified morality and discovered kind of the evolutionary origins of morality. So now I see the world through that lens.
Yeah.
And when I see a lot of people talking about morality, I feel like they're talking about it from within their moral community, not realizing there are other moral communities that exist outside of their moral community. And that's why that's kind of the crux of my video. Like, the vegans are definitely a moral community. You have your own laws and bylaws and customs and institutions and all that kind of stuff.
Well, yeah, we'll get into that, because I think what sort of provoked me to comment at first was mainly the first kind of part of your video. It kind of like annoyed me a bit, because I just thought, I don't know if this guy actually, because the way you kind of portrayed vegans, I just thought was a bit unfair to me, myself, because I don't think I'm anything like that.
Right.
Like, you know, like self-righteous and all that kind of thing. So I was just kind of like, well, surely he doesn't think that all vegans are the same. Do you know what I mean? So I don't know what your thoughts are.
I'm not inside your moral community, so I'm forced to believe that. I'm just joking around. I actually don't believe that. There is a wide range of behaviors in any moral community.
Yeah.
I mean, there's even if you take a huge moral community like Christianity, you have all these different sects which break down along different points of emphasis within the moral community of Christianity. But this is one of the things in the video where I say that the moral communities are overlapping. There's always overlapping communities. Like, you have vegetarians and you have vegans, which are kind of there's overlap there. I'm certain of it.
Yeah, well, kind of. I mean, you could be vegetarian and not an ethical vegetarian. You could just be doing it for health reasons.
Right, totally. There you go.
There's a lot of vegetarians that eat meat once in a while. Do you know what I mean? So I wouldn't really.
Yeah.
But,
cheaters.
Yeah. Yeah. And you went into a little bit about you know, like how vegans are sort of appealing to health and the environment and that kind of thing to entice people in, rather than addressing like the moral argument and that kind of thing, which I guess that is a thing that is happening now more and more, because I mean, we're not going to go into nutrition on this live stream, because we've already sort of agreed that we don't really need to. We're just going to sort of discuss ethics, really, aren't we?
Yes.
So that was the first part of the video, and then you sort of went on to well, you brought up a bit of ask yourselves argumentation. You put a quote of his in there.
That is the one that really inspired me to make the video, because the question is so designed for the answer to be the vegan answer. There is no difference when there are tons of differences. Like, it really felt like the emperor has no clothes situation. To say that humans and cows are identical morally, and with my study of morality and understanding the evolutionary origins of morality and why morality exists in human beings, it seemed completely wrong to me. So
yeah, well, maybe we can go into a little bit of that first. I mean, just for everyone in the chat, this isn't going to be this is kind of a debate, but we're more sort of having a discussion and a conversation, rather than, you know, I'm not going to be like, I'm going to get comments saying, oh, finish him, you know, like, don't destroy him and stuff like that. It's not going to be one of those debates. I'm sorry. If you want a debate like that, then go to Ask Yourself or someone like that. And
Jiraholic is saying I'm so ignorant, but how am I ignorant? What's going on?
We haven't actually got into it yet, so like, calm down.
Exactly. Yeah. I promise you, I'm pretty well read. So.
Yeah. So we
talked about that beforehand, though, and you had said, "What does reading have to do with anything?"
No, I didn't say that.
There are people studying this.
Yeah. No, I think, from my perspective, in my opinion, I think a lot of it has to do with just common sense. when it comes to veganism. You might disagree, and we can get into that if you like a little bit later. But
yeah, well, my problem with common sense is that there are, like, everyone assumes that their common sense is everybody else's common sense, but there is common sense for the, like, liberals, and there's common sense for conservatives, and those common senses are very different.
Okay, this is going to go back to this goes back to Jonathan Haidt, doesn't it? Because I believe he talks about this a little bit with the differences between liberals and conservatives. Yeah, yeah. So, and just for everyone in the chat, me and Adam had a chat last night, and we are pretty much on the same page politically wise, aren't we?
Yeah, definitely.
Do you want to sort of tell everyone what that is, and I'll tell everyone what.
Well, I mean, if it matters, I'm politically, I'm a centrist because I understand both sides of the political equation. Yeah. But emotionally, I'm very much a liberal. Like, I'm a bleeding heart liberal. I want to help people. I'm probably one of those people that, you know, I don't kill spiders in the house. I take them outside. Yeah. So I am sympathetic to the vegan cause, so to speak. So I think some of the people that are out there talking about veganism, I think, are doing more harm to your cause than good. They strike me, if you want to make an analogy, they are kind of the Westboro Baptists of veganism, where I don't know that if you're trying to convert people to Christianity, you want Westboro Baptist to be the face of your Christian outreach program, right?
There is a kind of tribalism with it, I guess. Yeah, I do see that, and it's not something that I'm comfortable with being a part of myself. I mean, I think you can be vegan without having to be like that. I mean, it's just really all it is just a non-action. It's just choosing not to eat something because you want the same treatment bestowed upon yourself. So, yeah, I mean, it doesn't have to be, don't have to be kind of this, like religious tribe or anything to be a vegan. I mean, I think you can be a vegan without all that. Do you agree?
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Yes. There is a certain, I mean, the argument that I make, I wish I had the question in front of me. You had said, are we still going to look at the video that I did? Because the question is in that video. I think that's important. But do you know the question off the top of your head? What is the difference between a human and a cow, and a true of a human instead of a cow? Now I've memorized it.
Yeah. So the question it kind of originates from do you know Peter Singer?
No.
Peter Singer and he wrote a book. I can't remember what year it came out, 1970 something, Animal Liberation, and it all harks back to that book really, which is name the trait that is present or absent in animals, which, if present or absent in humans instead of the animals, would justify the same kind of treatment that you're proposing to inflict upon animals. So, for instance, if you're saying, I don't know, like you could say, well, animals are less intelligent, so therefore it's okay to kill and eat them. Well, it's like, well, if humans lacked that intelligence as well, would you agree that humans should be, treated in the same way?
And the argument in my video is excommunication is the difference.
Can you elaborate on that? What does that mean?
Excommunication, if they're ejected from the moral community, you can't treat them the same way that you treat animals.
Can you explain that?
We do that with criminals. When criminals commit moral transgressions against the community, we eject them from the moral community and we put them to death. We don't eat them because a lot of us have different moral rules against that. But in some societies, past, present, and I'm certain future, they do eat them. So that is the difference. So the difference with the cow, and some cows have been I don't know what is the opposite of excommunicated, have been taken into the moral community, and they've become pets, and there are, like in India, they don't eat cows, they're part of the moral community there. But if the cow is ejected from the moral community, I'm sure they would be able to kill it. So the difference is excommunication. I think it functions on all levels. So that answers the question.
Yeah, but we don't just I mean, prisoners, like, they don't get usually, well, if you don't kill them here, we don't have death row in this country. But I mean, I don't really.
In some countries, they do horrible things to them. They bury them up to their neck and they throw rocks at them. So I mean, in this country, we have moral prohibitions against what is it called, against malice, or
yeah.
I'm spacing on the word, but it doesn't matter. But we have those same moral prohibitions with animals.
Like, but the difference
put
is
our animals to death.
Yeah, but the difference is, though, a cow's not done anything wrong, have they? Whereas a criminal has. So it's justified to excommunicate the criminal. But
what they've done wrong is immaterial to the argument, though, because the argument is that they are either part of the moral community or not part of the moral community. So their actions are immaterial. There are animals that have been part of the moral community, like zoo animals or pets. Once those animals kill somebody, a lot of times they put them to death for the same thing, a transgression against the moral community.
That's kind of self-defense, isn't it? It's a punishment for.
Know.
Yeah,
I know it's I hate seeing that. Like, yes, I know it's sad because the animal doesn't know any better, but they do it anyway because.
Yeah, so can you see that there's a categorical difference between killing an animal for because it's self-defense, or they've done something wrong, or they're dangerous, or what have you, versus killing an animal that hasn't done anything wrong for food?
I can see a difference individually, but it doesn't change the argument that they are, like, some animals are part of the moral community and some animals are not.
Okay, so I mean,
pets are part of the moral community. I'm sure you have pets. I have pets.
Yeah, but that's
nobody's killing my pets.
Yeah,
they're part of the family, right?
But saying that some animals are part of the community and others aren't. I mean, what is it about those certain animals that's different from another animal? Like, what? It seems a little arbitrary to me to say, oh, this animal has value and this other animal doesn't. Yeah.
It's not arbitrary. The animals that taste good, we don't invite into our moral communities because we know sooner or later we're going to eat them. So it's not completely arbitrary, but it is somewhat arbitrary. I mean, the difference between a pig and a cow can be just what I feel like eating, right? That could be considered arbitrary.
That is arbitrary, isn't it?
The logic of it, I think, is solid.
Sorry, pardon?
The logic of it, I think, is solid.
The logic is, what did you say?
Solid.
Oh, solid. Sorry,
the logic works. My stupid American accent.
No, that's fine. So, just to go back to that trait. So, what is the actual trait? You're saying that because the animals aren't part of the moral community, therefore it's okay to kill them and eat them just because.
Correct. Yes. Even going as far as, I mean, there is right now probably the next step in the progress of the vegan community is probably I've seen different things on this, but the trophy killing issue. A lot of people don't like trophy killing. I don't know if you've seen. There's a lot of good podcasts and documentaries on trophy killing being a necessity in wildlife management. A lot of times the animals that they kill on these trophy hunts are animals that end up killing a lot of other animals. I don't if they have an endangered species and some bull is running around killing a lot of young, like, it's better off killing that bull in a management sense than letting that bull kill a lot of younger animals.
Yeah, we can get into that argument because that's something that has been argued before in other debates. I think it was Vegan Gains versus, who was it? No Bullshit, where they were talking about invasive species and that kind of thing, and whether it's ethical to. Yeah, we can get
It's a
into
little
that.
off topic. It's
Yeah,
not really
yeah.
relevant, I think, to the argument that we're having. I'm just saying. I know there is a progression here, and a lot of times these arguments start at slavery, and the argument of slavery still holds up in that when slavery was legal and ethically justified, it was that certain individuals weren't part of the moral community. You could enslave them, which we've changed our position on as a community for the better. I agree. I think you would agree on that.
Yeah, I mean,
Like
I do want to get into
Go ahead.
that, but it's just I feel like we're sort of getting right off topic because I just want to go back
Okay.
to the traits thing and the excommunication thing. I really want to nail that down because I still really don't understand the kind of logic behind that. But I do want to like talk about slavery because I've written some notes down about it after our conversation last night surrounding like why we thought at the time slavery was ethical. I think it was sort of grounded in sort of religion and stuff like that, wasn't it? So yeah, I do want to get into that, but just going back to the name the trait thing, and what you were saying about the some animals are part of our moral community and others aren't, and your argument, you're saying that like certain animals aren't part of our moral community, therefore it's okay to kill them. Now, animals like dogs and cats are part of our moral community because they're pets and we look after them, right?
Correct.
There are some cultures that do eat dogs and cats.
Correct.
So it's kind of like, what culture do you believe, and what metric can you use to measure what social contracts or what moral community is the best one? Does that make sense?
Yeah, that is another question altogether because you really have to choose what metric you're going to measure these cultures on. But I think that we could easily agree that there are different cultures in the world that have different rules, and that each of these cultures generally has rules. Sorry about that. And generally each of these cultures has rules for interacting with other cultures, correct? Like we have a United Nations for a reason because we know we have these separate cultures have to interact on an international stage. So there are moral communities and there are overlapping moral communities and there are moral communities that don't overlap at all. So, but it's still inside certain moral communities, eating dogs is okay. They do eat dogs.
Yeah, but do you agree with that though? Do you agree that in certain cultures, if they eat dogs and cats, is that ethical? Because it's part of their culture.
I agree that it is ethical in their culture and unethical in my culture.
So does that make you a cultural relativist?
I am a cultural subjectivist. A cultural relativist would be someone who said all cultures are equal. And I believe all cultures are different, but some are better than others.
Yeah, okay. So
I'm not a moral relativist, no.
No, a cultural relativist is somebody that is like, if you say, oh well, if it happens in their culture, but you know, there's nothing I can do about it, and it's their culture, so just I don't really worry about it. Do you know what I mean?
There is a tribe. There's like a tribe, a Zambian tribe where they practice pedophilia.
Yeah.
I don't think that's a good idea. I don't think that's a good cultural adaptation. So.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm still not convinced that just the moral community thing works as a trait.
Okay.
Just because it's like saying, if you take it to into the human context, like if you're going to outcast people because they're a certain colour or they've got a certain type of hair or something, they're not part of your moral community just because it just seems like an arbitrary reason for excluding them. The same sort of thing applies to animals, unless you could name sort of a trait that can differentiate the two, then I don't see how you can just say, oh, this animal is for eating and this one isn't.
Yeah, I think it is kind of arbitrary though. But I mean, whether or not they taste good isn't completely arbitrary. I mean, anybody that eats animals is gonna like taste is the number one reason. We don't eat carp for a reason, right?
Okay, so
It tastes bad.
if you tasted good, would it be okay to eat you just because you
Well,
taste
no,
good?
that would there are prohibitions against cannibalism in our
Oh,
community.
well, let's say
I'm
that
certain that there isn't.
let's say that there isn't. Let's say that there isn't a law against cannibalism. Would it
Mhm.
still be okay to
No,
eat
I
you?
wouldn't do it. No. And
Yeah.
if there wasn't a law against cannibalism, I think there would be people working on making a law against it. Cannibalism is just morally repugnant to so many people. It's
Yeah. Well, let's say uh like aliens came down tomorrow, like overlords, and they they're omnivorous. They can choose to eat plants if they wanted to, and there's lots of tasty plants to eat on Earth, but they want to eat humans because they're just really delicious. So um, would you accept your own death because they find you tasty? Because
hell no, I'd fight against it.
yeah.
This is one of my favorite movies, by the way, Underneath the Skin. I completely recommend it, but that is the plot of the movie.
Oh, what's
The
it called?
humans Underneath the Skin.
Okay,
It's a
sounds good.
crazy, almost David Lynchian movie,
Oh, I love David
but
Lynch. Yeah.
yeah, it's so good. If you go into the movie knowing that it's all about eating humans, I think it's a lot clearer. They never really elucidate that in the movie itself,
Yeah.
but it's a fascinating movie. But no, we would fight back. We would join together. Nothing would unite the Bloods and the Crips faster than aliens coming down trying to eat us. I mean,
Yeah.
out of moral communities would all become one moral community immediately. The moral community
Oh,
while fighting the
absolutely.
aliens.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally, totally. So I mean, I still think the argument is solid there. The aliens would have their own moral community, and we would go up against them. No, we would fight it all the way. But
Yeah, we wouldn't think it's ethical, would we? Because we want to live, and they've got other
yeah,
options that they
yeah,
can. They don't have to eat us. But if they just wanted to eat us because we were tasty, we would think it's completely unethical and unjustified. So therefore, how can we justify saying that it's okay to kill and eat certain animals because they're tasty? It just doesn't really. It seems like a double standard to me.
uh, I don't I don't know that it is a double standard though, because we have rules for interacting with other societies, and I mean, at times we go to war with other societies. So I mean, it's very much an us versus them world. So if the cows are on the outside and we're on the inside, that makes all the difference in the world.
What do you mean? Sorry, can you just go through that again? Sorry, I'm not understanding fully
The
what you mean.
you're saying that because, well, your argument is very difficult to understand too. You're saying that
Okay.
that because we don't want someone else to do it to us,
Yeah.
we shouldn't do it to them.
Yeah, that's
But
correct. Yeah.
it's I mean, it's really immaterial to the in group out group argument. I mean, I'm sure criminals don't want to be killed either, but we're gonna kill them, right?
Yeah, but again, we haven't done anything wrong for the aliens, and animals haven't done anything wrong to us. So, do you not see it as a fair comparison, a fair analogy?
The the right and wrong, I think, is immaterial. I honestly do,
What do you mean, right and wrong? What?
because the argument is really about not how you got in or out of the group, but the fact that you are in or out of the group.
Right. I'm not sure I'm following. Sorry. I don't know if I'm just being thick.
No,
Yeah.
I'm just saying the in the question, the difference is the cow is not part of the moral community, the human is. If you switch those roles, then you can do whatever you want. as long as you're still obeying the rules of the moral community. The alien argument, they're in a different moral community and we're in a different moral community. We can do whatever we want to that moral community, and that we assume that that moral community will do whatever they want with us.
Okay.
So we're engaged in a battle for existence. The cows are losing. We are winning.
All right. Well,
that's just the way it is. That's life.
Well, let's just say that the cows are part of the moral community then.
Whether or not it's right or wrong, I mean, that really depends upon your perspective. If you're the cow, sure, it's wrong. If you're the human, it's right. If you switch that around, you know, right and wrong is really about the moral community that you're in. Right and wrong has to do with the moral community.
By moral community, can you just define what that actually means? Because I just when you say moral community, I just hear social contract. Is it different to social contract, or can you just expand on what that means?
Social contract theory is kind of a way to explain the moral community in a philosophical way. But as human beings, we have this innate ability to cooperate with one another, to create a superorganism that is society. And the glue that glues us together and lets us cooperate often is morality. It's a set of rules of right and wrong that we're all loosely agreeing to live up to that makes us able to cooperate. And cows don't have morality. They don't have this ability to cooperate. They don't have this ability to form a superorganism. They don't work together like that. That's a huge difference between humans and cows too.
Okay, so
when I'm saying moral community, I'm saying yes, there is a set of rules, a set of right and wrong, and the reason why we fought a war in the United States to make slavery wrong for everybody. That there was a disagreement inside the moral community. The moral community split between the North and the South. They fought a war over it. And when the moral communities reunited as the United States, slavery was no longer allowed. If the vegans win and we make eating meat wrong, whether it be illegal or a social taboo, a lot of times social taboos are the better way to go. If there's social pressure on people not to eat meat, I guarantee you I will not be eating meat because I won't want to be a dick. But right now, there's no social pressure on me not to eat meat. There's lots of social pressure on me to eat meat.
We're going down. We're going on all sorts of tangents now. I want to try and stick to one point at a time because just because I find it hard to handle all these different points all in one go.
I got you.
So yeah, if we could just backtrack to the first part of what you said there, which was cows don't. What was it you said? Cows don't have the capability to be part of a moral community because I don't know.
Well, they don't have the capability to form their own moral communities. Human beings are pro-social animals. That's one of the huge differences between human beings and a lot of other species. I mean,
so can I just stop you there? Yeah. So I just want to stick with one point at a time. So if so you're saying cows, because they can't form social or moral communities, therefore it's okay to kill and eat them, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Dogs and cats don't really have that ability either. And in actual fact, I'm not actually convinced that these animals can't form some kind of moral community within themselves. They do have a certain degree of, they're not moral agents, but I think they do have to a certain degree they can form sort of bonds with humans, and they're not gonna, they're not trying to kill us, at least. So that says something.
This is an interesting thing too, because in a lot of these debates they talk about intelligence, and really what I think they're using intelligence as a proxy for is sociality.
Okay, right, yeah. The bonds between them and stuff like that.
We're less likely to eat animals that we witness the same kind of behavior that we exhibit.
Yeah, of course. They're not going to exhibit exactly the same behavior as us, are they? Because they're animals.
Well, if the animals are more like dolphins are super social, and a lot of people have a problem with eating dolphins because of that. Yeah. But I think they do eat dolphins in Asia.
They do in
yeah. And we do have
Japan.
A problem with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you weren't able to form a moral community or be part of a moral community, say for instance you have some kind of severe mental disability that you're unable to do that, does that mean that it's okay to kill and eat you?
The people are accepted into the moral community, like the mentally handicapped people argument doesn't really work here, because they're like humans themselves are accepted as part of a moral community until they do something wrong, until they become criminals or rejected from the moral community. Like just being a human, the largest moral community of humanity is you're human. Then we start breaking down into sub communities. But we do have a prohibition against eating humans in virtually all cultures, not all of them, I'm assuming.
Yeah, but
maybe today, maybe modern times, we do all have that prohibition. So.
Yeah, but I mean, if that wasn't the case, would it be okay to eat you just because you're, retarded?
No, not at all.
Yeah. I mean, so
retarded people are part of the moral community. They are.
Yeah, but I mean,
they are. You would accept that, right? I mean, we have welfare programs to support mentally handicapped people, so
yeah, but I'm just going by the logic that if you're not part of a moral community, it wouldn't be okay
but they are part of the moral community.
Well, let's just say that they aren't.
My argument is not based on intelligence. You can be a part of the moral community and be a complete moron. Actually, those are some of the funnest people in the moral community.
Yeah.
Do you I mean, the argument seems, I feel like you're a little disheartened. The argument's pretty solid, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just sort of, it's consistency. It's trying to be consistent throughout. I mean, that's
this argument
argumentation, really.
This argument I didn't come up with on my own. This is moral psychology that I have studied, and it makes sense when you start looking at morality as a set of rules of right and wrong that bind people into a social community.
Yeah.
Then life kind of makes sense. And I just applied that thinking to this vegan debate that you're having, that I'm watching as an outsider.
Yeah, sure.
Social pressure means everything. And slavery was accepted until social pressure came in and changed things around.
Yeah, so
you guys could win with social pressure.
Well, yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? Because slavery, slavery came about. It was, if you're a Christian or Muslim or whatever, slavery was fine way back then, because it was part of the religion, and people were just indoctrinated to believe that slavery was okay. It says in the Bible that it's okay to keep slaves as long as you treat them a certain way or whatever. But somehow we worked out that wasn't really ethical or a nice thing to do.
Right.
Therefore, why can't we? I mean, I think with morality, it can't just be a finite as it is right now, right? I mean, there's always going to be questions and answers that we're gonna discover in the future about morality. I don't think I don't think it should come to a standstill as it is now. Do you agree?
The slavery thing is interesting because with slavery you developed the reason why people didn't want to let go of slavery is the same reason people don't want to let go of eating meat. There is utility to it.
Yeah, sure. It's they have some kind of use to them or pleasure.
Your arguments are, well, we have other ways around that. Like you're going for synthetic meat and stuff like that. You're saying you can still get the utility without hurting the animals. And people are questioning that utility. They're saying it doesn't taste the same. It's not as good. They're saying the utility's not. And I'm assuming they probably made the same exact arguments with slavery. But you know, this could change. But the thing that would change it is the moral community, the changing of the social contract.
Yeah. So what my argument would be then, like, why can't we improve the moral community to not? I'm not saying include these animals into the moral community, because I think if we stop breeding them, then they're just going to sort of probably die out, and I don't really have a problem with that, because you know we've actually bred them to a degree where they are, you know, they're just bred for food basically. They're not bred for their own sort of you know, like enjoy, you know, I mean they're bred from
they're bred for meat.
Yeah, exactly. They're bred for meat, so they're not going to be, you know, they're not going to have the best health. You know, if you take like a battery hen, they just lay and lay and lay. They're, you know, as many, you know, they've been genetically modified to lay as many eggs as possible, and that puts quite a lot of pressure on the health of the bird, doesn't it? Because they wouldn't naturally do that. So I don't really have a problem with, you know, these kind of breeds kind of dying out as the demand for animal products decreases over time. Then you know, the supply is going to go down as well, and I don't really have a problem with that. So I'm not saying that we should include those animals into the moral community. Which I think I left that. I think I left a comment about that on your video. I can't remember what how you responded to that, but no, you can respond to that now.
But what is your objection? Is just the pain and suffering bothers you, correct?
The pain and suffering what?
The pain and suffering of these animals is what bothers you.
Well, I mean, to a certain degree, yeah, it does. I mean, I wouldn't want the same treatment done to myself.
Right, so you empathise with them.
Yeah, well, yeah. Do you empathise with them?
I don't. No. And that's one of the reasons why I can do what I do. I think empathy can be overused. I think as human beings, sometimes you have to turn off your empathy to do things that are for the betterment of, you know, more people, for the betterment of society.
Okay, so
sometimes punishment is the right course of action.
So is eating animal products for the betterment of humans? How does it improve?
Well, there
civilization?
Are entire industries that revolve around it. People enjoy, you know, people own businesses that are based on it. I mean, a lot of jobs are created by it. It's people enjoy sitting down and eating a nice steak together. I mean, there are all kinds of different ways that it makes society better. People would argue.
Can you apply that same logic to other acts that can be considered unethical, just because people enjoy it and it creates more jobs? You can plug in any sort of unethical act that you wish. I don't really.
And that's really the line that you're trying to draw. You're trying to kind of walk this line between ultimate individual freedom and what's good for society. But yeah, there are definitely other things that are probably bad that we shouldn't do.
Yeah, because I'm not convinced that it is for the betterment of society. When you think about, because you said like it creates jobs and stuff like that. When you look into that in detail, you'll find that people that where there's a slaughterhouse built in a city or a town or whatever, you can actually look at the statistics for this. Don't take my word for it, but crime rates go up, domestic violence goes up, the amount of PTSD goes up. Yeah. Where there's a slaughterhouse, because if you imagine you're working on the killing line day in, day out, do you not think that's going to have an effect on your psychology?
it would have an effect on my psychology, but I'm not sure it would have an effect on anyone's psychology. And automation is coming in a way where maybe people don't even have to experience that.
Well,
but
the
not,
thing.
Not that changes anything.
Well, I mean, with the automation thing, I mean, you'd have to, I think, because people want high welfare, don't they? That's because I think your argument is you want it to be high welfare and for the animals, as long as they've had a really good life and the killing is quick and easy and painless and stuff like that. You can't really guarantee that unless you have humans working in those slaughterhouses.
Yeah, someone in the chat is saying that my sound is really bad.
Oh, it sounds fine to me. It might be because I have to. It's going through my microphone of my. I think it's coming through my laptop and going into my microphone and then back out to the live stream. That's the only way I can do it. So sorry, guys.
Oh, I gotcha.
Yeah. Yeah. So going back to what we were saying. So yeah, that's one thing that I wouldn't be convinced by, that it would, better for the betterment of society. One thing would be the slaughterhouses, and another thing, I know we don't want to get into nutrition, but I can't see anything.
The betterment of society is the argument over the changing of the social contract.
Yeah, and also you've got the environmental impact of animal agriculture as well, which you can factor that in as well.
Sure, that all doesn't change the argument of these are the rules of the moral community now. This is what is acceptable now.
Yeah,
the reason why the difference between the cow and the human is the fact that one is inside the moral community and one isn't. So
yeah, but you could plug in any animal, couldn't you, and say, just, I don't know, this animal is and this animal isn't, and how do you distinguish between them? Like, what's the difference between a dog and a cow?
You're inviting them. You're saying, hey, you want to be part of the club. Your social attraction to them.
So it's just based on what they look like or how they engage with you. Yeah. I mean, what is it about them that
mostly, yeah.
So it's just
it's also personal taste. I mean,
so it's just preference, basically.
I think it's if you kill someone else's pet, I think it's a criminal act. I'm almost certain.
Yeah, because that's to do with property rights, isn't it? Basically.
Sure, totally. Yeah. I was thinking though, but I raised praying mantises for a while, and I wondered how far I could get if someone killed one of my mantises, like suing them. They would probably say it's not a criminal offense, it's a civil offense. But I don't know if it's a criminal offense if they killed my dog, it's really weird. We're getting into obscure things. Yeah, there are all of these rules that are based on ethics and morality inside our moral communities, how we interact with one another and how we interact with other moral communities. So I think the argument is completely solid.
I just want to go back to what you were saying before there about the preference thing, because we kind of moved off of that, and I wanted to stop you there, but I didn't want to be rude. Sorry.
That's okay. Because
otherwise I'll just forget and we'll go on tangents. Yeah, because you were saying that it is basically to do with preference, essentially, like how you favour dogs and cats over other animals to be part of the community. Is that correct?
Say again.
So you were saying about why you favour dogs over cows or other animals to be part of the community, and you said it was to do with it's just basically what you prefer, it's what you favour.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Yes, it's a social bond. Yes.
Yeah.
But I mean, they've done scientific research on why people like cats and stuff like that. The cats have the same proportions as human infants, and that plays off of humans' attachment of software. We all have attachment software too that makes us think things that look like human infants are cute. So that attaches us to cats.
I suppose I have difficulty with that kind of reasoning, because it just seems arbitrary to me. Like, how can you say you're just going to treat someone differently?
What's the matter with arbitrary?
what's the matter with it?
What's wrong? What is wrong with arbitrary?
It's not valid. I don't think.
We have to start somewhere, right?
It doesn't seem valid. It doesn't seem justified, because if you're saying that it's okay,
when an architect designs a building, isn't the decisions he makes? I mean, there are certain structural, but there are a lot of arbitrary decisions as well.
Well, yeah, but it's not. Nobody's dying when somebody's designing a building. I mean, that's just to do. Like the preferences there don't have any connotations on life, do they? Whereas, like killing animals for food obviously does, because an animal has to die for you to eat meat. Unfortunately, as much as people don't like that, it has to happen. So I think the analogy there, I don't think you can use that analogy. What do you think?
Well, I mean, you're putting a lot of weight on this suffering of animals that other people are not putting on them. Yeah, and the reason they're not is because they're not part of the community. So all bets are off.
I don't think like the general public, they don't think of the moral community when they're considering whether they're going to buy meat or not. I really don't think they're thinking, oh, that animal's not part of the moral community, so therefore it's okay to eat it. They just want to buy it because it's tasty. They don't think any further beyond the neat packaged chicken breast in the supermarket aisle. They don't consider the process that it's gone through to get there. They just see the meat. They're so disconnected from what's actually happened, and they're not thinking about the moral community, are they?
Does it matter though? This goes back to System 1 and System 2. The emotional intuitions know this. If you went to your local butcher and you packaged meat, and instead of saying, sirloin or whatever, it said human, you would definitely get some reactions out of people. They would think, oh, these are part of the moral community. I'm not going to eat this.
Yeah, because we have in-group preference, that's for sure, as humans. Definitely, I'm not denying that.
So then it's. I mean, that's my argument. It seems like at least we understand each other.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm saying that
I understand that you have problems with the fact that it's somewhat arbitrary.
Yeah, but I mean, can you not see the difference between arbitrary reasons to kill someone aren't justified?
The taste makes it not necessarily arbitrary though. We don't eat insects. We could eat insects, but there's a gross factor to insects. They do eat insects in other cultures because people have been socialized to eat insects. So.
People are super chatting.
I know.
I bet just.
You want to go to some of these questions? I don't.
Yeah, sorry. I'll just read. If people want to super chat, because it's I can't really go through them all whilst we're having a discussion. But I will read these ones now because you've done it now. But leave it to the end if possible. So Luke Robbins has said dogs and cats have been domesticated over thousands of years.
Which isn't really a question; it's a statement.
Yeah.
But I think he's actually on my side. He says I have shot pheasant.
So he's just
some meat in my freezer. Yeah.
So he's just donating to me. Thanks very much. Yeah.
But that's okay.
Yeah. So. Yeah, I still don't think the arbitrary reasons for eating meat are justified, to be honest, because I wouldn't accept those same arbitrary reasons for myself in the alien context.
Right.
And I.
But you're just saying this is what's right for me.
Well,
you must acknowledge that there are other people that think that this is not what's right for them.
Yeah,
I don't. The problem that I have with most of these vegan arguments is that they come out and they say this is immoral, which it's not. It's not immoral.
Okay, well, I mean, can you demonstrate why it isn't immoral then by,
Because as part of the moral community, we've accepted that eating meat is not a wrong thing to do.
But if the moral community said that rape was okay,
but they don't. The moral community does not.
No. But let's just say that they did. Hypothetically.
Okay. It would be a crazy world, but that would be the norm. So,
yeah, but you wouldn't think that you'd think it's immoral though, wouldn't you? Surely.
I would rally to change the rules of that moral community. I think probably they have different rules around rape in other cultures that I think people are trying to change as we speak. So
yeah, so I mean, that's what vegans are trying to do. Like, it's exactly the same. Like, we think it's unethical.
Right.
Yeah.
But there's, I mean, 99.9% of the population thinks there's a problem with rape. 5% of the population thinks there's a problem with eating meat. There's something going on there.
Yeah, I mean, like, rape isn't really part of...
You can jump to...
Sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, you finish off what you're saying.
I don't see how you can... honestly, it comes off offensive to a lot of people who are not vegans when you compare something that they enjoy doing with their family and friends in a nice, civil setting. When you compare that to something as offensive as rape, I think it really does the vegan cause a disservice because it's not even close to rape.
Yeah, I know. I understand that. I know that it's not the same.
If you had to choose between somebody raping your sister or your mom or a chicken getting their throat wrung, I hope that you would choose the chicken getting their throat wrung.
Of course I would. But I'm just saying, like, it's perfectly fine to use the same logic to compare. I'm not comparing the two. I'm not saying rape is, the same as killing an animal for food. Of course not. But it's exactly the same logical structure, isn't it? The argumentation.
No, it's not, because I'm saying that inside our moral communities, we have a certain rule structure, and we've all come to accept that rule structure and agree to that rule structure, or inherit that rule structure and be agreeing to it by force, however you want to look at it. I looked at social contract theory before we did this. I'm not super familiar with the philosophy around social contract theory, but I understand the basic workings of it. You're posing this kind of like purge like setting where anything goes. And that's not how the moral community works. And there's an argument to be made that the moral community would literally fall apart if that's how it worked. Like, if you changed this rule and said rape was fine, anyone can rape anyone, no one's going to prosecute that, your moral community may fall apart. If you changed the rule on eating meat, your moral community may not fall apart. I mean, they changed the rule on slavery and the moral community fell apart. There was a civil war fought over it. Like, people didn't know if the moral communities were going to reunite. There could have been North United States where slavery was illegal and South United States where slavery was legal. I mean, lots of different things could happen. But, I mean, it doesn't change the argument that I'm making.
Yeah, well, I mean, you can plug in any unethical act into that, and the logical structure would still be the same.
The reason it is an unethical act, though, is because we have agreed upon it as a society, and we haven't agreed upon the veganism question as a society.
But how did we come to that conclusion?
Saying that it's unethical is wrong. It is ethical. It is very ethical to eat meat.
But how did we come to the conclusion? To form the social contract where did it come from?
An agreement among society.
So because people agreed on it, therefore it's okay.
Currently, yes, yeah. But if people disagreed on it, like I said, if things changed, if the rules changed, and the vegans win, and it's eating meat becomes stigmatized, it becomes taboo socially, or it becomes illegal legislatively, then things would change the same way slavery changed. But right now, it is ethical, moral, and justified to eat meat.
But that's just isn't that just an ad pop though? Because you're just saying, oh, because people, there's a consensus on something, therefore it's okay. But surely it can't just be that reason because the most amount of people have agreed upon it. That can't be the only reason that
I was hoping we'd get to the ad pop. I really was. Because vegans say this all the time. Go ahead with the argument ad populum.
Well, it's just, if you're saying that there's a consensus on something, surely that can't be the only reason to say whether something's justified or not. There has to be something else, surely.
The argument ad populum fallacy has to do with factual things. Morality is a consensus thing. Morality is something like electing a president. You can't say that one president is objectively better or one leader is objectively better than another leader. It's subjective. So ad populum fallacy would only apply to reasoning that is deductive with logically certain conclusions. What we're doing is inductive reasoning. So
you've lost me now. You've lost me, completely lost me.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. I had to dig into this stuff on my own because people constantly make that ad populum fallacy, and it's wrong. That's not how morality works. That's not how society functions. Morality emerges from the feelings of the population when we undergo this process of moving from becoming individuals into a society or a group or a community or a tribe. When we do the magical things that human beings do by cooperating, when we practice our pro-social behavior, our super sociality, whatever you want to call it, we form consensuses, and that consensus is as much a reality as any they're called social facts.
I understand what you're saying. Yeah, I understand where you're coming from.
Yeah,
but if that consensus is not conducive to any sort of well-being, let's just say well-being, then just because people have there's a consensus has been formed on it, doesn't mean that necessarily it's right, does it?
The well-being is a tough question. Every society must weigh the needs of the individual against the needs of the group. And a lot of our political dialogue is really about weighing the needs of the individual against the needs of the group. Like, how much freedom do we want versus how much security do we want? Like, we're safer in numbers, but we also, as individuals, like a certain amount of individual choice. So it's part of the process of becoming this super organism called society. But cows don't do this. Cows don't do any of this. They don't. That's why they're on the outs. That's why they're on the chopping block.
But we still haven't sort of distinguished between I mean, it goes back to the arbitrary thing, like the cows and the dogs, and one's in the moral community, the other isn't, and it's for arbitrary reasons. It's just going to come back to that, isn't it?
You're not comfortable with the arbitrary thing.
No,
I feel you.
I'm not really convinced by that, because if somebody was killing me for arbitrary reasons, it wouldn't be ethical. If in the alien context, for instance. So it just doesn't seem consistent, and
it wouldn't be ethical to you, but it would be ethical to them. They wouldn't be doing it.
Well,
you understand that, right?
Not really, no, because it's not ethical, is it?
It would be ethical for the aliens.
Well, just because they say it, because they say it's ethical, and there's consensus on it.
Well, I mean, you're talking definitions, though.
Well, the thing is, you admitted that you wouldn't, you'd fight for your life.
Yeah, I would. You would too. You and I would
Yeah.
both be fighting for our lives. We would make the cows fight with us if they could, but they're such horrible fighters. we might be better to eat them and use the protein to make us better fighters.
Hell, we don't need that much protein.
I know. Trust me, if we were in a battle of our lives against aliens, your cattle rights bill would be the last thing on your mind.
Yeah, it just doesn't. I don't know. It just doesn't seem. It doesn't really seem consistent. It doesn't seem logical to me, because if we would fight for our life in the alien context, then why would we?
Why aren't the cows fighting for their lives?
Well, they can't, can they?
Why aren't they?
They can't. They can't run away. They've like grown in factory farms and then taken into slaughterhouses where they've only got one route to go. They can't. Have you seen any slaughterhouse footage, or do you know like what the process is of the slaughter?
I do. Yeah. It's terrible.
So they're like, what are they going to do?
I'm a weak-hearted liberal. I'm telling you, I couldn't do that. But I'm thankful that I live in a society where there are other people on my team that take care of that for me. That's the advantage of being in a community, being on a tribe, being in a society, is that there are people that can do things that I can't do, and I can do other things that they can't do, and we trade. So cows don't do any of that.
But what if you couldn't do all that though? If you couldn't trade with anyone else?
I would still be in the community that other people would do the things for me.
Well, what if you went? What if you were just like some? What if you just lived out in the forest somewhere on your own? You weren't part of any moral community. You're off the grid.
Well, we've talked about this already. I would still be a human. So if other humans encountered me, they would still acknowledge me as a human being and know that I'm part of the moral community.
That might not necessarily be the case, because there's indigenous tribes people that could be hostile.
Right. Totally. And in that case, I would not be part of their moral community, and they would probably kill me.
Doesn't make it ethical,
and
does it?
I would fight for my life.
Yeah.
I would do everything that I could. I would do a hell of a lot more than the cow would do.
Yeah, but I mean, just because a cow can't fight for their life doesn't mean that they should be, it doesn't make it okay for them to die, does it? It's just like that means that's like a might equals right kind of argument, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm going to say you got another super chat from Luke.
Why does he keep... I don't understand.
Why is because it's a good one.
Yeah.
He's saying that it's not arbitrary, that it's for food, which I totally agree. It's not arbitrary. Like I've said this, the arbitrariness of it is that, how it tastes. Some food, I don't know if I said on the stream or before the stream, but we don't eat carp because carp tastes bad. So the carp, it's not because it's unethical to eat carp. It's because we don't like the taste of them. So I just had Wagyu beef for the first time. I don't know if anyone's had this stuff, but man, so good.
But then the thing is, plants taste good as well. They really do.
Yeah, but
and you've got a choice between
where the liberty argument comes in.
Well,
yeah,
I mean,
if I have a choice between them and I choose beef, then you have to accept that choice ethically, because you're part of the moral community.
This doesn't.
I don't know.
This
We're
does
going round and round now.
Yeah, so. It doesn't really make any sense, because it doesn't seem consistent to me with the moral community thing. Because you can be out of the moral community. Does that mean it's okay to kill you?
Yes.
As a human?
Yes. I made this argument in my video.
So
serial killers, we boot their asses out of the moral community. We electrocute their asses. Like, if in some communities, I think if the family who was most harmed by this maniac wanted to eat him, they would probably let him. So, I mean, humans can do some pretty terrible things.
Okay. Well, what about indigenous people then, for instance? They're not part of your moral community.
I believe that they do that. Yeah.
They're not part of your moral community. They're never going to be able to accept your social contract. They're hostile.
All humans are part of my moral community.
what do you mean? What do you mean by that?
But well, all humans are part of the moral community. The only way that they get ISIS. Luke is like, ISIS is outside the moral community. Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah, I agree.
We have rules inside our moral community about self-defense. You have to agree with that.
Yeah.
So if somebody comes at you, you're allowed to defend yourself.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah. And that's the ethical and moral thing to do, right? Even to the point of killing the person.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So those are the rules of the moral community.
But we're not killing animals in self-defense, are we? We're killing it for taste pleasure.
Yes.
And taste pleasure is not a justification for taking a life. I don't see that as a justified reason.
That's the moral community, but if it's outside the moral community, then it is a justification for taking a life.
But then it would just I'll just have to use the rape analogy again or something like that, because it's just like saying because it's
gross. It's gross.
No, saying it's gross isn't. You can't say I can't use it because it's gross.
I want you to make your best argument. That argument offends people. It does. It does.
Well, I don't really care if people get triggered by anything I say. I'm not going to I'm not going to sugarcoat what I say.
No, and I don't think you should.
It's not my problem if people get offended.
I do think I do think that you're in a battle of persuasion, and persuasion works very. You're trying to change people's feelings. You really are trying to change people's feelings.
Well,
because without changing people's feelings, they're not going to change their habits.
Yeah. All I'm saying is,
logic is not going to work here.
What do you mean logic isn't going to work?
Why is the audio fucked up? I don't know.
Is that what someone's saying in the chat?
Yeah. I wonder if I sound like a robot. Here, let me hold on 1 second. Hold on, people.
I can turn up the volume on my end, maybe. Your volume sounds fine, though, from my speaker. Okay, while we're waiting, I'll just read some of the comments.
Oh yeah, it sounds exactly like the audio did on the other stream. Yeah, we should have tried a better setup. Sorry, folks, I don't know how we can change it now, but I think we're getting pretty close to the end here. So
yeah, I think so. Yeah.
I mean, we're just going round and around, but I
will. Yeah.
I think my logic is solid, and I don't know if you want to take some questions from the chat, I would love to know where there's holes in this logic, because I don't actually think there is.
I don't know. Yeah, I'm still here. Yeah.
Is it frustrating? I just don't care about animals. I don't care about children either.
I think you do care about animals, though. I mean, I do.
I told you, I take spiders out of the house. Yeah.
Yeah, because it doesn't.
But I don't.
It doesn't affect.
Humans are the most important animal, though. I care about other people, and other people want to go pheasant hunting, and I think they should have the right to do that as human beings. They should have the right to go out and kill things that they feel like killing. It's just my take on it.
If they feel that way inclined, I mean, it would demonstrate that perhaps they don't empathise with animals, and I don't want to sort of go into that too much. But if they're saying if people value their own lives, right, as a human being,
right.
Why then don't they extend that same value to animal lives?
Because they want to eat them. Makes perfect sense to me.
So they're saying that the animals' lives don't have any value whatsoever.
They have meat value. They do.
But in terms of like moral value, though, because that animal suffers, that animal feels pain. In the same way as we do. So
it's immaterial. That doesn't even figure into the equation of morality, though. It doesn't.
How can it not? I
Well,
don't.
you're saying that it should, but it doesn't. Not
No,
legally, not
but just saying
not
it
morally,
doesn't.
not.
But you can't just say it just doesn't. You have to explain why. Why is that?
Well, we
Why
can
doesn't it
look up
matter?
the laws. We could look up the social taboos. We can look at the practices of human beings. We can look at the behavior. We can look at the menus of restaurants. All the evidence shows that there's nothing wrong with it. Like, what evidence do you have on your side that it's unethical? I haven't seen any evidence.
Because I wouldn't want it done to myself. It's just
But that's
if
not
I if
evidence. That's not evidence.
yeah, but it's consistent.
My argument is consistent.
So are we both right, or is one of us wrong and one of us is right? Are we
I
like
don't.
two
This is
different
not
paradigms?
really
Or?
a. I don't. I don't know that this is a right and wrong situation. I think really we are both right. I'm right in my moral community, and you're right in your moral community. You're a member of the vegan moral community, and in the vegan moral community, there are certain rules. And one of the base rules of the vegan moral community, one of the rules that keeps this community together, is that we don't eat meat. We talk to people about how eating meat is unethical. We try to convince people not to eat meat. We think animals should be invited into the moral community. We're
No, no, no,
against
no.
trophy hunting. Am I getting close? I mean,
No, no,
this
no,
is
no.
your moral community,
You don't
correct?
have to talk to people about veganism to be a vegan. You can just not eat
Okay,
animal
okay,
products. You know, you don't have to. There's no rule book to say how you should be as a
right.
vegan other than just
What is going to
abstain
get someone
from
kicked out of the
animal products.
community?
Sorry.
I know. So you're saying that you don't have to talk to people about being vegan
You
to
don't even have.
stay in the moral community,
You don't even
but
have to be in.
there is something that will get you kicked out of the vegan moral community. What is it?
What? There's something that will get you kicked out of the vegan moral community. I don't
Yes.
understand
What
the
is it?
question.
What is the thing that will get you kicked out of the vegan moral community?
What vegan moral community? What?
Someone in the chat, anyone, come on. It's
I,
eating meat, right?
right. Okay. All right. If you
If you eat meat, know the name.
meat tards
Plenty
is
says,
a
yeah.
thing. Yeah.
Meat
Carnist.
tarts. I love it. I knew it. I knew it. There had to be a derogatory name for us.
Yeah.
We
You're
don't
gonna.
have a derogatory name for you.
There's gonna be.
Well, maybe we
There's
do and
gonna
I
be
don't know
there's
it.
gonna
So
be extreme vegans for sure. There's gonna be militant vegans, definitely. But you don't have to be one
yeah,
to be a vegan. You don't have to be. I think if it depends. There's a bit of psychology comes into it. If you are sort of like a shitty person that doesn't get on with people before you go vegan, it's not going to be, a sudden overnight when you become vegan, you're going to be a really nice person, are you?
yeah. I don't know. You could be a nice. I don't. I think it's immaterial to the argument, but
Yeah,
we
yeah.
all have different opinions on who nice people are. Tim Jong Un is a terrible person.
Oh, Tim Jong, yeah, I love Tim Jong Un. He's really, he should get on the stream actually at
He's
some point.
insulting. He's insulting Luke in the chat.
Yeah.
So
Is
that's why
anyone?
I was like,
I think we should probably wrap the stream up soon.
yeah, I think we should.
And
We're kind of devolving, but
yeah,
I think my argument kind of withstood your scrutiny, and we have kept it civil, which
yeah,
I mean,
that's what I wanted, definitely.
you're. I I would change if I was forced to change, but I don't see that happening anytime soon because it's not it's nobody's going to going to have a civil war over cows. They just aren't. They
No,
are. It's not going to happen.
there's nothing forcing you to. That's the thing. That's why you won't change, isn't it? That's the
Yeah,
reason, isn't it?
totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, meat is too good, and a lot of people have said that. But I've hope like my goal here is really just to put more structure around these debates that you're having. I watched the debate with your friend. I can't remember his name, but he did a debate with that guy T, right?
Oh, AG Mizzen. He's in the chat actually somewhere.
Yeah. So and
Yeah.
he managed to morally dumbfound that guy T, where that guy T didn't have the argument that I have here. I think if that guy T would have pulled this argument out, it would have made a lot more sense. But morality is this really weird thing where intuitively we feel we know what's right and wrong, and we put those feelings out into the world, and they interact with other people's feelings, and through this political situation that we have, a consensus emerges that we all agree upon. And what you're trying to do is you're trying to change people's feelings. And the vegans do this all the time. They do it with the gore-filled imagery that they like to use because that plays on people's disgust feeling. And if you can make people disgusted by meat, they're less likely to engage in eating meat.
Well, there's another thing that we've got to raise here, actually, which is that people aren't killing their own animals for meat, are they? They're just buying it in a supermarket, so they don't have to come face to face with that disgust on a daily basis.
Totally. Yes.
So you've got to factor that into it as well. Like, that comes into play, doesn't it?
Well, that has actually helped you, I think, in your side of the argument, because if people did kill their own animals, you wouldn't have that playing card. You wouldn't be able to play the disgust card because people would not be disgusted by it because they're like, what the hell? I kill my own chickens every day. Like, you're only able to shock people with the killing floor because they've never interacted with it. But in the past, when they did interact with it all the time, you didn't, like, we're moving closer towards veganism because we rarely interact with the killing floor. Yeah. And that's changed our feelings.
Yeah. But then, like I was saying before, like with the slaughterhouses, the crime rates going up and stuff like that, PTSD goes up in those kind of places where they have slaughterhouses as well. So there is like some, if you look at the evidence, there may be sort of like a causal link there between, because there's no.
I will look at it.
It is. I mean, do you agree that killing an animal is an act of violence?
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah.
So how do you
no argument there? I mean, it is violence.
Yeah. So wouldn't it make sense that...
we try to do it as humanely as possible. Even the word humanely gives it away.
Well, can you kill an animal... How do you kill an animal humanely that doesn't want to die? Because the definition of humane is not violent, is it?
You don't let them know it's coming.
Pardon?
You don't let them know it's coming. You do it as quickly as possible.
That's not the definition of humane, though, is it?
Well, we kill humans humanely.
No, but what is the definition of humane? What's the actual definition of humane?
With the least pain and suffering.
No. What is the definition? What's the dictionary definition of humane?
I don't know the dictionary definition. I'm just going off my top of my head.
It's
but
kindness.
I'll look it up. Humanely.
It's kindness. It's benevolence. It's caring. Stuff. Words of that effect. It's not killing. I mean, humane slaughter is an oxymoron, isn't it? I think the words you need to find a different word. I think because humane is not the one. Because humane means kindness, and there's no kind way to kill an animal that doesn't want to die.
I guess you're right.
Oh, we can agree on something then, at least.
I guess humanely is the wrong word. I don't know what they call it. I'm sure there's a legal term for it. But they do try to minimize the pain and suffering in executions, where there was at one time when they tried to maximize the pain and suffering in executions because they thought those dirty criminals deserve it.
But why don't we just...
So we've evolved.
Why don't we just, if we're killing animals, why don't we just not care about the pain and the suffering? Why don't we just kill them in the worst possible way?
I think it goes back to what you were saying about it's a utility thing. We just want the food. We don't.
Yeah. So who cares if they suffer or not? We don't want to make them
suffer. It's not about us.
Yeah, but who cares if they suffer? If the utility is meat and the taste, why do you give a fuck that they suffer?
People care.
But why? Why do they care? Why do they care about the animal suffering?
Well, we would want to minimize suffering and maximize utility.
Yeah, but why would we want to reduce the suffering? What's the reason why we'd want to do that? What's the reason behind that?
It's needless suffering, I guess. But people don't always reduce the suffering. They do go out and shoot animals with bows and arrows.
Yeah.
So it's not a requirement to reduce the suffering in animals.
Yeah, so why don't we just
Well,
kill them?
it might be legally required.
Why don't we just kill them in the worst possible way then? I mean, who cares?
Because we don't want to. Well, first of all, it would be a lot more. You would be adding a level of difficulty to it that would be unnecessary.
But the killing is
But
unnecessary.
no, the killing is necessary. You need the meat.
You don't. Do you need meat to survive?
we're we're going round and round. We're getting off the argument. So
Yeah, but I mean,
I think
I.
maybe I think maybe we should wrap up. We've been going close to an hour and a half
Yeah,
here.
sure,
So
sure. But do you agree that you agree that we don't need meat to survive, though, don't you? Because I mean, I'm still alive as a vegan, so you understand
but
that.
you're not really living.
What do you mean I'm not
You've
living?
never tasted wagyu.
That's
Luke will tell you he's tasted wagyu. I'm certain of it.
well, you've never tasted
Wagyu, I think it's
you.
like $165 a pound. It's crazy. It's crazy. I don't know how they make it, but I don't. I'm scared to Google how they make it because
Right?
I would
Yeah,
get queasy.
yeah. I mean, if you're gonna say that it's okay to kill animals because the meat's tasty or whatever, I don't see why you shouldn't just kill them in the worst possible way. Like, why would you give?
Luke has tasted wagyu. He's like, yes, yes, yes.
Mm,
I'm sorry.
that's okay.
Do you,
I think that'd be an
do
interesting
is
question to
there?
leave it on, but
What's up? Sorry.
I think that's quite an interesting question to leave it on. Like, why wouldn't you kill it? Why wouldn't you kill an animal in the worst possible way? If it's just about the
It's so
utility.
obvious though.
Well,
It's
okay.
so obvious.
Tell me then.
There's no utility in it.
What, in killing it in the
I
worst
mean,
possible way?
first of all, they want to kill the animals in the most efficient way. They're looking at the problem strictly from a point of efficiency. And if it was more efficient to kill them inhumanely, they would do it. The reason why they're potentially not doing it is because people like you have come in and said, we need to make a law against this. So now they have to do it in
Oh no no
less efficient way, but a more humane way
no! I
because
think
of
you'll
our
find.
feelings.
I think you'll find it's meat eaters that want that. I don't
Okay,
care. I
well,
don't give a fuck about the
either way.
welfare of the slaughterhouses. I don't. I want it to stop completely.
Right, right. So either way, people have come in. People like you and me, because I would be one of those people too. I want them to do it as humanely as possible.
But why?
And we've changed the laws. Why? Because I don't want needless pain and suffering. And you're going to say,
Why?
but it is needless. But it
Well,
isn't needless
why do
because
you
you need
want
the
needless
meat.
pain and suffering?
That's I couldn't tell you. It's like it's a personal feeling. It's a personal choice. It's
So,
my system one, my intuitive system saying that the world would be a better place if there's not as much pain and suffering.
okay, so you're basically
But
vegan at heart then.
we still get the meat. What's that?
It sounds like you're vegan at heart then, because you don't want needless pain and suffering.
I want the meat more than I don't want the needless pain and suffering, though. That's where the line is drawn with me.
Hmm.
Oh no,
Yeah.
Tim Jong Un chimed in. Why is he
Oh,
Tim
two
Jong Un?
dollars. $2. Thanks, Tim. If torture improved the meat, would it be that? Yeah, would that be okay?
I'm pretty
It's a
sure
good
to make
question.
wagyu, there's probably some torture involved because that stuff tastes too good for there not to be torture involved. So,
So does that go
and
against
also
your?
it's $165 a pound. That's probably the torture cost. Anyway, we've established that I'm a terrible human being.
No,
Can we
no,
move
no.
on?
Come on now. I'm not here to like try and tell you.
Please forgive me.
I'm just.
Please forgive me. I'm not raping anyone. I promise. I'm not. I won't murder people.
That's cool. That's cool.
Come on. How do you want to tie this up?
I guess unless anyone's got any.
Keep pushing this.
No. Keep pushing.
The chat is getting good. I'm sorry.
Listen, I've got to get up early in the morning. I'm spending the weekend away, and I've got to travel. So we will wrap up the stream. I've really enjoyed talking to you though, and I like some of your videos. I kind of appreciate your live streams more than your videos because.
Oh really?
Yeah,
yeah. Yeah. I'll do more live streams. That's for sure.
Yeah, I find them quite interesting, and obviously we don't agree on this, but I think we agree on many other things.
Yeah.
Concerning politics and this, that, and the other. So I've subscribed to your channel, so I'm gonna, keep in touch and
keep an eye on me.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll do this again if we can get some better sound. I will read the comments below. So if anyone wants to leave comments on this stream, I'll take a look. Tim Jong-un was in my comments section. Luke is asking me to ask you about halal meat. I don't know what that is.
Halal meat is that's how they this Islam. So they pray, they do all their fucking, I don't know, spiritual kind of stuff before they kill it, and they kill it. So they bless.
About that?
Yeah, exactly. They say that because the animal is blessed, therefore it's humane, and then they just take a knife and they just slit the throat open and let it bleed whilst it's alive. So they don't stun it first. They don't pre-stun it. They just, yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if there was Novocaine in slaughterhouses now, to be honest with you. But that's how we do things in the West. We do consider humanely, which I understand is the wrong word, but
yeah,
I think we're all in agreement on that.
So. That's the homework I'm going to set you, Adam. Find a different word, not humane, that's going to fit in that context.
I will find it.
And come back to me.
I will read the comments. Do you want to stop the stream and I'll stay on the line?
No. I mean, I think I'll just continue with the stream. I'll just answer. I'll go through some of the questions and stuff on the chat, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for having me. Take care, everyone.
Yeah, it's really good talking to you, Adam. Yeah, thanks very much. Yeah. Cool. I'll speak to you soon. All right. Bye. Okay, so Liam Anthony, keep on this Banana Warren Princess. Why don't people just horrendously murder animals? Yeah, because if he's saying that's the thing, I wanted to press him a little bit more on that, but I didn't want to. I'm not really in the mood for having a massive argument this time of night, so I'm more sort of giving him some sort of planting the seeds really for him to take away, and perhaps we'll do this again. I don't know, but I just wanted to come at this. I said to him beforehand, let's just come at this as to understand each other's position more, rather than just hammering into a debate. I don't know. Pretty tired as well, so I know I'm not really giving you what you want because everyone wants me to be like really mean and do an Isaac, but sorry, it's not going to happen. I woke up to the rape and etc. and I realised how much of a punk bitch I was to pay someone to kill and rape for me. Yeah, I don't know. Why can't we use that analogy? Rape. I mean, I don't know what else to plug in there. Just plug in any unethical act, because is it okay to do something just because, it's pleasurable to us? No, of course not. So I don't understand why. I know it's triggering, but I mean, really, I don't really give a fuck. If you're going to get offended, maybe we could, I don't know, use different language. I don't know. Perhaps we need to work on that. But yeah, it's just to say that something is okay and justified because we derive pleasure from it. I don't really see that as a justified position. So, Shining Star is going on about halal meat. Yeah, they're meant to slit the throat in a way which makes the animal not suffer. Can you guarantee that every single time though? And would you want that same treatment inflicted upon yourself. You know, even if you couldn't feel any pain, you still don't want to die. So, again, I don't see that as a reason to, you know, stab you to death. If the stabbing didn't cause you any pain or suffering, it's still not ethical just because I want to, you know, I enjoyed the taste of you, does it? So, let's see, is there anything interesting in the chat here? I'm going to wrap it up in like a couple of minutes. So, yeah, it's not a blessing, it's a show of dominance. They don't call it a blessing. Okay, I'm not really sure. I haven't really sort of researched too much. I think Isaac did a video about halal, didn't he? That was quite interesting. I might need to go back and watch that, do a bit more research on it, but I don't really see why I need to. I mean, it's still killing for taste pleasure at the end of the day, isn't it? No matter how you do it, whether it's, you know, painless or not. Why, you know, like I said, why wouldn't you do it in the most in a way that's going to cause the most pain possible to the animal? If, you know, why would you care if the benefit of it is that you're just going to get, you know, derive taste pleasure out of it? Then who gives a fuck, you know? Oh god, I've lost the chat now. Fuck. Right, I've got to scroll up again, but it's not. I've lost my place. I have hunted before and it is disgusting. Yeah, I guess everyone's got a different idea. Some people are going to get disgusted, some aren't. Some are more tolerant than others, aren't they? So, I don't know. I mean, me personally, I just could not bring myself to kill an animal. I'd find it really, really difficult to do that. Even, you know, even for my own survival, I guess, I'm going to find it really, really difficult to do that. I just am. It's just something that, you know, whereas others, they could just do it in a heartbeat. But for me, it's going to be really difficult for me to do that. In the same way that, you know, if I had to rape someone, if I was a bloke, if I had to rape someone for my own survival, I'm still going to find that really difficult. So I guess I take more of a deontological position over the sort of consequentialist kind of attitude. But it all depends on the situation, and I don't know what I'd really do until the situation arises. I have no fucking clue what I'd do in a survival situation until it actually happens. I've never been pushed to that kind of threshold where I have to choose between life and death. So killing needlessly is not ethical. I mean, I would have thought that's axiomatic, really, but perhaps not. I don't know. Like I was telling Adam, I'm new to philosophy, so I was telling him for me it's mainly based on common sense rather than all these sort of deep philosophical kind of theories and stuff. I just find them, you know, really confusing in a world that's already confusing. So it just seems so simple to me, you know, like if you wouldn't kill, if you wouldn't accept the same treatment for yourself, then why would you inflict it on another animal, you know? Thanks, Friended. He's in the chat now. Thanks for the moral support. Oh yeah, Luke. Yeah, thanks for the donations, Luke. It's very kind of you. Okay, you guys. I need to. Liam Anthony again. We've got the vegan death squad. I think we've got the full vegan death squad, haven't we? In the chat. For anyone that doesn't know, everyone needs to go and subscribe to OG Mizzen. He's got some fucking amazing live streams. He's built up a really good, as Adam would call it, moral community or vegan community. Yeah, go and sub to his channel, and Liam Anthony as well. They've both got really small channels, but we're having some really good debates on these channels. I think the smaller channels are doing really well in terms of getting these sort of debate teams together and forming these little pockets, these little communities and stuff. So yeah, go and subscribe to Liam Anthony and OG Mizzen. Everyone in the chat, do it. Squad of the Vegan Death debates. You know it, Owen. Cool, guys, right. I need to get to bed because I'm getting up really early in the morning to travel to, where is it? Somewhere in Nottingham for a big vegan camp out thing, which is going to be really, really cool. I'm really excited and really looking forward to it. So if anyone's going to be there that's in the chat, then come say hi, because I like to meet new friends and keep in touch with people. Really like making new friends. So yeah, come and chat if you're going to come to the big vegan camp out that's happening in Nottingham this weekend. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed the stream. I want to do more of these debates, so you know, turn the notifications on if you're subscribed to my channel. Make sure you're up to date with the notifications so that you can enjoy more of these live streams. Right, I'm going to wrap it up now. I always find it hard to sort of say goodbye or wrap up the stream. I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to close off the stream. So, yeah, nighty-night, everyone.